www.outoflives.net.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Out of Lives. Scott here. You've not heard my voice in a little while, but I am joined today by Ben of Tanked Up. I'm sure you hear his voice quite a lot.
Oh, hello.
And we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. It's been a passion project for the past 2 years of juicing up somebody over at Bethesda, and it's finally paid off to fruition. I mean, let's not discuss like Prey was cool, Elder Scrolls Online, appreciate that, but this was the big boy, Doom Eternal. Oh my god! So we were lucky enough to get sent a review copy of it. I've managed to play it. I played it at QuakeCon, and now I've finished the game in its entirety. And Ben's joining me today just so we can have a nice discussion of it. We have our review, which will be up on site live now. It should be, because this video has to go up after the embargo. But yeah, so you can check out my full review. But this is just more of a discussion from Ben's point of view as someone who's not played it but is familiar with the Doom franchise. And just having a quick chat about the game.
Nice. I'd completely forgotten you played it at QuakeCon.
Yeah, it was great, and it was like this weird, surreal experience when I got to the bit that I had already played. It was like I was like, oh my god, like, and then because I was trying to think about what's changed since then, and then since playing it at QuakeCon and playing it now, and it was pretty much the same. Like, it was a bit smoother, a bit cleaner, but like they'd mix and matched things. So like the demo, there was a specific point in the demo when it jumped forward, and then I get why they did that now. So
right, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. But it's no lie. This game is fantastic. It's easily contender for Game of the Year. Doom 2016 was Doom 2016 was my favorite game of 2016. So yeah, you might say there's a recency bias or just already going in with a bit of bias, but no, honestly, I've not enjoyed playing a game in so long like I have Doom Eternal. Like, normally when I play games now, I have a podcast on in the background, or I'm doing something else, multitasking while playing a game. Doom Eternal commanded my full attention for the majority of its runtime. Only when I went back and when I was finishing up some collectible things, did I start doing that behaviour of just, I'll put some on in the background just while I'm doing this. But for pretty much the entire first run through that campaign, I was hooked in, music loud, like proper, just engrossed in this carnage that was unfolding in front of me. Honestly, I can't say much more like than go and buy it and play it, because it's an experience that just works. It's Doom founded the first-person shooter genre, and I think it's brought it back to a place away from all the regenerating health and microtransactions and over-the-top spectacle scripted storylines, to a place where it just is focused on that action-heavy gameplay, moment to moment, and my adrenaline was spiking. I after like these massive encounters later in the game, I was just like, holy crap, I did that. Like the times when I did it the first try, like these massive encounters, and I did it in one go, and I'm like, I am invincible. That is honestly some of my favourite gaming memories of the past 5 years, easily. Of this generation, nice. For sure. Yeah.
Good. It sounds like you've had just an amazing time with it, which is excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, because I really, really enjoyed Doom 2016, and I just want more of that with Doom Eternal. But there's a few things I know that they've kind of changed up from the 2016 game that kind of almost seem to me like they're, or at least from what I've seen, like it's overcomplicating things a little bit. There's, I know, a little bit of an element of you have to do certain types of glory kills or certain types of attacks to gain certain things, so like ammo, life, and the shield and stuff. How did you find that playing? Was it really easy to pick up and just adapt to that slightly different sort of gameplay that they've got going on?
So yeah, this was a big thing going into that demo. Like, that's the one thing at that Daily QuakeCon demo I mentioned where I was like, this is cool in theory, but it's so much to take in at once. Thankfully, when you play the actual game, it introduces the elements slow enough
Mm.
that you can get it. Like, it starts you off with glory kills, naturally, like, this is how you get health. Okay, if you've played 2016, you're very familiar with that process already. And then it eventually, and then you get your chainsaw, and then you're like, oh well, cutting these people up, I get the ammo. Okay, all right, that's fine. That's still pretty understandable. And then you eventually get the flame belch, which is the armor pickup, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, okay, I get that. And then there's a few other bits and bobs that get added in, but essentially that is your core gameplay loop right there. You've got your glory kills for your health, you flame them to get armor drops, and you get chainsaw kills to pick up ammo. Now, yeah, it sounds complicated, but the way the game introduces it and adds it to your arsenal, I feel it does it at the right moments where you've just got a hang of that one thing. Here's this other thing, and it's on the player, but the game kind of pushes you in this direction to mix and match that thing. So it's like, oh well, this guy's glory killable. If I flame belch him, I can get my health and armor at the same time. You know what I mean? Like that's when you
Yeah.
start putting together, and that's when I think Doom Eternal comes into its own, because if you can do that, like, of your own accord, because the game doesn't handheld you and tell you to do this. It might do in a pop-up, but I just never read it. And then you're just like, well, so if I go, there's a group of enemies here. If I flame belch them, chainsaw one of them, do enough damage to another, punch out into a health combo, like, and then you can essentially like there are fodder enemies. They're literally described as fodder enemies in this game, and they're what you focus on and you use just to keep going to punch down these bigger things, and it's insane. So yes, it seems complicated, and I think without getting hands on with it, it's really difficult for someone to grasp, because I felt the same way, and I even coming out of that demo, I was like, I don't know if I could play a full game of this, but coming into it and fully understanding it and getting it at the right points, I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing and it works. And by the end of the game, I wasn't thinking, oh well, I need to do this to get armor. I need to do. I was just doing it. Like, it became a second nature, and
Yeah.
I think that's what they want. But there is that initial jump of being like, I have to do this, this, and this. But eventually, you will get used to it, because it gives you it at the right opportunities, and early game, the right enemies are coming at you where you can, oh well, this is how I get this, this, and this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good to know. Do you that sort of the structure of
Ooh. Ooh.
maybe it's not necessarily kind of like a corridor shooter, but you get areas where you're just moving through a very linear path, and then you come to a much more open kind of arena where you're rushed by lots and lots of different enemies. And from what I've seen of Doom Eternal so far, everything is just like action packed all the time.
It is, but it's also not. It's a weird thing of saying. You're always doing something. You are always progressing. I'll give it that. There are those just, well, I've just gone from one room. I'm going to walk down the corridor. I'm here into this wide open area. I know what's going to happen right now. And yeah, that is exactly what happens right now. You are ambushed by a bunch of enemies, and then the music kicks in, and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to kill all of these enemies. It's fantastic. Like, but there are certain parts of missions and
That's fine. That's fine. I would assume that a little bit of the reprieve in gameplay comes from when you're being told whatever the story is of Doom Eternal as well. Like, you have various moments where I guess action is taken away from you, and the Doomslayer is just kind of walking through an area, chatting or having stuff said to him, perhaps.
No, like that's the thing about this game, and I think I say it's its weakest point is the story, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
Okay.
The story is like, coming off the 2016 one and how that ends, you're like, oh, it's definitely setting up for something, and it throws you in at a point that I don't think anyone's really expecting, but it's a point that if you're a new player or just like, Doom Eternal, yeah, new Doom game or whatever it is, like, Doom is such a synonymous brand. My mum knew what Doom was.
Yeah.
Like, she barely understands that I play a Dragon Ball card game. Like she keeps calling it Yu-Gi-Oh. So they're not at all the same. She's getting it now because I keep repeating Dragon Ball, and like everything in my room says Dragon Ball at the moment. But she knew what Doom was. Like that's how big Doom is. So it's a big name. And so it throws you in at a point where if you've not played 2016, it doesn't matter. If you've not played any of the old school games, it doesn't matter. Like, I am this person. I am going to kill demons. That's pretty much where you get. Like, so it's a bit jarring for people who are like, ooh, I want to know the story of where it goes from 2016, but that's kind of not the point. It does explain it. Yeah. It doesn't do it handholdy, so you have to kind of read the entries into the game, like of the codex, and like, oh, well, this is what's happened in this time period, and that's what's happened. And like, that's fine. That's cool. There is one mission, and this is the mission that I can't really talk about, so I'm not going to mention too much about it, but it is the Exposition Mission, I guess, is what you want to say.
Right.
But it is this nice reprieve. It is this, you go into, you are in this area, and it does, like, this does start expanding the lore of the Doomverse, so to speak. Like, it opens it up, and there's a lot of cool, I think, I liked it, like, a lot of cool implications and stuff, and it kind of sets the franchise up for the future. Like, it very much feels like this is like, okay, this is our canonical starting point for bigger things, but everything that's come before still matters. And when I say everything that comes before, I mean everything that comes before. Like, and that's really cool.
It feels like that makes sense, because one of the things when I was playing through Doom 2016 that I didn't really pick up on too much was the story. You know, I wasn't there for that. I was there for that moment-to-moment gameplay of just ripping and tearing and shredding and going absolutely ballistic on everything I possibly could on the screen. And that is, I think, what I want from Doom Eternal as well. Yeah. To just have that bombastic, absolutely brutal gameplay where it is just a constant battle with everything, and then you have a little bit of a break, but you're back into it really quickly again.
Yeah, I think they're really smart about it. Like, because if they bogged it down with cutscenes and all that, and then people are like, I just want to get to the killing, why are you doing it? So it knows that, and it gives you a serviceable story. It's like, you're not super invested in it, but you don't need to be, because you're playing Doom.
Yeah.
You are there to kill the things that are trying to kill you. But there is like I said, there is that interesting element which is very much under embargo, so I can't talk about it. Even though when you see this, it will. But I don't want to ruin it for you, Ben, because eventually you will get around to playing this game, and it's kind of cool, and I like what they do with it. So there is that element to it. So I think it kind of services me that part. It's just the way it starts is a bit jarring coming from 2016, and I think that's the only problem. But I think that's a personal gripe more than it is a fault of Doom Eternal, because I see what Doom Eternal's doing, and I can respect it. Just as someone with expectations going in, didn't quite meet that. But that's not me saying it's bad. I just think that's the weaker element, but it's a weaker element because it knows it's not important.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And you know, you've got to put resources in where you think your strengths are. And obviously, you want to bring everything up to a very good, high standard, especially in something like Doom. And from that team as well, they want everything to be sort of as good and sharp and as excellent for the player as possible. But Doom is always about that gameplay. You mentioned earlier about collectibles. Is that something that it takes away from that kind of moment-to-moment gameplay? Are you having to go off on ridiculous paths or hidden rooms and things like that? Or are the collectibles kind of built into that frantic gameplay?
It is more exploration based, and like, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that was there. So like I'm a completionist. I like to know I've done everything in the level before moving on. So I literally was just like, oh, I'll beat the level, because you get to a point in the level where it's like, oh, fast travel's unlocked, you can go back through the level, and so it encourages you to go back and be like, well, this is what you've missed. Some of the collectibles, and I say the collectibles, but they are just like part of the game design, is so there's these Slayer rooms, and there's 6 of them in the entire game. They offer you a kind of gauntlet type thing. You've got to go in and kill all these more difficult enemies to kill, and it all throws them at you in these challenging little arenas. But you beat these 6, and then you get the Unmaker, which is a really cool weapon. I am allowed to talk about it because they've shown it, but I won't spoil it. Like, just go and have fun with it, I'll say that.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and you get it, and you're like, oh, this feels powerful, and it is powerful. Like, it's called the
Nice.
Unmaker. Like, what are you expecting?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that element of it where so you want to go and find that in the mission. You want to know where that is. And then there's also mini challenges, like challenge encounters. So you'll have like 30 seconds to beat 2 Kaku demons and an arachnoid. And that's really cool. I really like that. Like, and you get as many chances as you want to try it. Like,
Okay.
but you still lose all your ammo and stuff if you do it. So it's kind of you should really do it on the first try, or else you're going to be losing resources and stuff like that.
Mm.
There's so I mean it's not for everyone, and you can totally miss them, and it's fine. It doesn't ruin anything. But if you're like me and you was like, I need to do everything before moving on, then yeah. When it comes to like the collectible items, like the little toys and some vinyl CDs, which are amazing, and you can play them in your little Doom base. So I was running around my little Doom base, my little watchtower, with like the Doom 1 theme playing that, and I'm like, yeah, this feels right. This feels so weird because it's like you've got that image of the original Doom, but you're like playing it with 2020 graphics, and you're like, oh, it's so cool.
Nice.
Proper
Brilliant.
geeking out. So there is that element, of like, and most of the time it is just punch through this wall. Oh look, it was right there, and it's not as if like it's so on the nose about it, where it's not like in most modern games where it's a collectible and it is like. I think Last of Us, it's like the collectibles in Last of Us are like actual things in the world that you can go up to and collect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's just a giant question mark.
All right.
Yeah, like it's just a giant question mark. You go at it pops open, with confetti, and it's like, oh, it's a Kaku demon toy. I keep saying Kaku demon. I just love that word. It's great. But their big brothers are in this game, Pain Elementals. Oh my god, I love seeing Pain Elementals back. It's so cool. So collectibles, they're not necessary. If you're like me and want to do everything in the game, then they kind of are, and they're not too difficult. Like you can go through the level and then go back to it. You can also go into mission select, so it's not intrusive. Sometimes you will just like as you're in mid fight, you'll see a giant question mark and be like, how do I get there? And you're like, well, there's a ledge. Okay, I'm just gonna go up there and grab it. That just depends on the type of player you are, I think.
Yeah.
Collectible wise, but I think fans of the franchise definitely worth going and exploring the maps. So I couldn't just go and look at a guide. So I found all the collectibles in the game by myself, and I felt really proud about that.
That's really good.
And I think the last thing we should really mention about this game is the score, the music. Like Doom 2016 had an amazing soundtrack, like easily one of the best game soundtracks of all time, and Doom Eternal takes that to the whole another level. Mick Gordon, just it's I don't know how this man does it, but he does it, and he does it so well, and it's just fantastic. Like the heartbeat slow hums, and it's like it starts revving up, and you're like, oh, there's an encounter coming, and you get popped, and then it just kicks off, and everything goes to chaos, and you're like, I feel like a god, and the music is such a huge part of that. Like, without the music, I don't think any of these encounters would be as impactful as they are. Even the boss fights, man, it just feels so dirty. The music gets so down and dirty, and you feel gritty while you're, like, smashing this thing's head in. I love it. I genuinely love it. And, like, in the cutscenes that you do see, the Doomslayer and the way he interacts with things, it's the Doomslayer. He doesn't need to speak. So he just cocks a shotgun, and then you're like, okay, I get it. I get this, man. And then like the one in the demo that I played where he just drags this like to unlock this door, just rather than get the key card from around this guy's neck, he just drags the guy.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Just drags the guy and unlocks it. Like, yeah, I'm on board with that. So that's a pretty good discussion of everything that's in Doom Eternal. The multiplayer I've not had a chance to properly play yet. I've done the tutorials because the servers aren't live. They will be because they will be on launch day, and then I will have more content for that coming next week. So, but from all signs of things, it sounds really interesting and looks really cool, and like it's fun to play as a demon. You might get a taste of that in the campaign.
Yeah.
It's teasing. Very fun moment. I'll put it that way. Yeah, so if there's any last questions you want to ask me, Ben, about the game.
I think from everything you've said, it sounds like I need this. I need it now.
Yeah, I genuinely
Um,
think don't sleep on it. Get in on it. Get like because it's just one of those things. Like there's not so much that can be spoiled per se, so you don't have
mhm.
to go out and buy. But like honestly, if you're like, especially with what's going on in the world right now, and you need a game
Yeah,
to just distract you, like this is such a fun game. Like, and I think that's something I've been missing from my life for a long time. I've just been having experiences, and that's not a bad thing.
Mm,
That's part of gaming culture now, and that's fine. But this brings old school back in a way that makes it feel unique and different, and I really like that. I
good,
really like that. Yeah,
good. As I say, that's all I want to hear. That it is that fun.
yeah.
Just to have that absolute brutal experience. Now, I'll definitely be picking this up next week, which is comes out on the
20th,
20th.
yeah,
Yeah.
20th release date. Yeah, cool. So thank you for joining me, Ben. Hopefully we'll be doing more of these in the future. So stay subscribed and follow us on Facebook because that's basically where we post our stuff. Ben's doing some Dream stuff at the moment, which is really interesting. Shout out to Dreams because that game's fantastic too. Yeah, I've been Scott. This has been Outlives. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.